1, 2. Everybody still alive? What a glorious day we've had, folks. I hope you're enjoying the sun, soaking up the vitamin D3, get it in there. Beautiful day for it. Right, I'm no long back from Edinburgh. Went through there. I've seen Greta doing that, it seems to work. So, but we are a national movement now, folks. We have got branches in Edinburgh, in Aberdeen, Inverness, Falkirk and Perth, and the base where it kicked off here, Glasgow. Okay, I'm going to get a bit heavy on you now, okay? Historically, there is no more powerful thing than an idea whose time has come. It starts here, and it starts now with you, me, everyone. We need to get more people coming along, and we go to Edinburgh on the 5th of September at 1 o'clock, and they will hear us. We have witnessed, not just in Scotland, but all over the world, the destruction of freedom and liberties and democracy. And here we've been turned into a satellite of the United Nations. That's all we are just now, a satellite of the UN. And the agenda coming from the cabal, instructing people basically towards a vaccine agenda. That's what it's all about. Where we are now, folks, is it's time for us to step forward and to basically save Scotland. So what I'm suggesting to you is that we awaken, but we need a purpose, we need a focus of objectives, and we need to decide what those objectives are going to be. So I'm going to ask you, as a grassroots people's movement, I do not want any specific leader to this. We lead it. We show the people in Westminster and in Holyrood that legitimacy comes from the people and the people only. In Edinburgh, they should be acting on an agenda based on the policies that we put them in there for. That trust has been broken. So what I'm basically saying is, I'm going to ask you a few questions here. I'm going to look for some response from you. I would like to suggest that we title the movement. Excuse me, could you actually move this? Could you move this elsewhere, because it's a distraction. I'm trying to communicate with everyone. Just
move the box.
Right. What I want to ask you is, are you okay with calling the movement Saving Scotland? Yeah. Everybody, if anybody would suggest a different title to that. We're seeking legitimacy. I've also suggested there is no leader required, because we lead it. If anyone wants to lead this movement, step forward, argue your case. Do so. Any takers? Right, we're a grassroots movement, and we lead it. So, Thursday nights, Glasgow, a sort of action committee meeting where you can put ideas. So if you speak to Alistair, Bill, Simona, other speakers here, any ideas and skills you can bring to the movement. We want the best skills, the best ideas, and when we go to Edinburgh, we have agreed objectives that are clear, and what we must focus on is what we can prove, not stuff that's made up and weak. We need to go there with a focus of objectives that we can prove. So if we end up sitting down with the Scottish Government, they're not going to try and make a fool out of us, bring in a few bits, whatever else, because I'll tell you what, I've met lots of professors, and there's quite a few of them not as smart as some of the people. You just need to stay in academia long enough and you float to the top. There's Brown that as well, isn't there? But some of them are pretty smart dudes. Okay, our three objectives. Another objective, you have my support as long as we are a peaceful movement. Okay to that? Any dissenters? Okay, we go there and show we are one of the peaceful movements that has ever been. No other agenda other than the clarity of our objectives. We want to go there and have our case based on science, something that's clearly put. Right, I'm going to suggest that we have 4 pillars to our campaign and objectives. And what I mean by that is areas where we push the issues. And I suggest the 4 areas are as follows: health, jobs, education, and food. I'm now going to try to explain why. Yeah. Under health, let's have a banner. Lies, damned lies, and statistics from Mark Twain. That's all we've heard over the last few months. Lies, damned lies, to manipulate people. We demand an independent public inquiry into the lies, false stats, and propaganda of fear around COVID-19. We know that the official infection fatality rate is lower than the official one is 0.2%. They've thrown so many other people as numbers in there to exaggerate. And so therefore, we can probably easily argue that only people there was a real threat to of this virus was 0.1%. That means that 99.9% of the population were never going to be adversely affected, and yet they dared to shut our economy down and pretended they were protecting us when there was no need for it whatsoever. This is not retrospective. Professor Levitt showed the stats to people early in March. Most of us here know the agenda. I will not go into that just now. That basically means that 99.9% of people were never going to be affected adversely by coronavirus. For the majority who might have been infected, it was going to be nothing but a bad flu. There was a worse flu epidemic in 1957 and 1967 with over 1 million deaths worldwide, and yet they didn't shut down nations because of that. They didn't shut down the damage that comes from it. So, in terms of health, the so-called R number, the stats there, if 99.9% of us are not going to be affected, why was there so much fear spread that you and I infect each other and possibly kill each other? This was manipulation of the worst order. And we all know it. People are waking up to the reality. And the R number was effectively meaningless. When you know the IFR, the infection fatality rate of 0.1%, then the R infection rate used by Professor Leach is bloody meaningless. Right. We should also be demanding, throwing some ideas, we should also be demanding an independent inquiry into what happened in the care homes after vulnerable people were chucked out of. We need answers to this. We need accountability. These politicians who made decisions, they are there as public servants, accountable to us. That's the truth of the matter. I don't like saying anymore that I'm a local councillor. I'm accountable, and I am not to be purchased under any circumstances. I'm ashamed of the other people who call themselves politicians who aren't out here and part of a campaign. They call themselves patriots and nationalists to save our country. It's being destroyed. In terms of health, back to health, another failure of our government was the lack of information being put out to the public on vitamin D, vitamin C and zinc. That could have saved lots of lives. And the WHO playing madness with hydroxychloroquine. That should have been used. I want to see the NHS opened up where doctors are allowed to use hydroxychloroquine and intravenous vitamin C. So we should allow the doctors, instead of Big Pharma making them drug pushers, we should allow the doctors to use the science of stuff we know and heal our people properly. So we want our NHS back. And I support the nurses' claim for better wages, abuse, abuse. Quite a few demands here, I won't read them all out. I think talks today. We want an end to the compulsory wearing of masks, because there is no need for it. The science is all on the side of there is no need for it. It's nothing but a perpetuation of fear. There should be no more lockdown. I heard the last speaker say PCR is pretty dodgy. It'll pick up, PCR picks up fragments of genetic material. And there's 7 or 8 coronavirus. So the likelihood that anybody infected by during the summer any sort of coronavirus, it's an abuse of science, it's fake science, and Aberdeen should not be in another bloody lockdown. It's an outrage. This must end. And that's the science saying that. I've never come here and had to give any of my opinion. Done the research, done the thinking, and it's the science put forward. Also, we could go into vaccinations in a lot of detail. When we march to Holyrood, one banner I suggest: no compulsory vaccination for anyone at all. They've got to make objectives that are clear, simple, effective, and speak the will. Also, who suggested this? We demand that the Scottish Government pass legislation to protect the jobs of any whistleblowers in the NHS, and they should not be persecuted or prosecuted for speaking out about the pandemic farce of COVID-19. Let's protect our doctors. The NHS is accountable to the public, isn't it? But Big Pharma isn't. So we must also protect a generation of children who will now be scarred for the rest of their life psychologically. The damage of the fear, propaganda. Come on, keep working. That's not a funny subject, is it? Kids have been scarred. In terms of jobs in the economy, what the government wrecked, the government should pay back. Compensation to all businesses damaged. I'll tell you, it was okay in 2008 to quantitative easing, to bail out the banks. When it comes to the public, they have never ever done so. So it is time. If I wreck somebody's house, drop a tree in their house or whatever, I'm liable for that. The government, that businesses, the government want our economy back. Time for quantitative easing for the public services and the businesses that have been destroyed. Loans should not be paid back. They should be kept by the businesses to keep them afloat. All that is doing nothing but venture capitalism taking over businesses but via loans. The economy has been hit harder, folks, once the reality of the following appears in the next few months. We're going to see a hit in this economy in Scotland and almost worldwide, worse than the 1929 crash. There's going to be more homelessness, more poverty. You know, people are just going to take such a hit, and the psychological damage to do. So our society, you know, it's known that if unemployment increases by like 1%, X number of thousand people will die. Poverty and malnutrition, etc., definitely up killing people. So the real hit on the economy, longevity getting shorter. That is like shocking. We'll see everybody's seen the high streets that have been hammered, the different shops, beauty salons, hairdressers, the whole shooting match. People have had their life destroyed. So we need a reconstruction plan for the economy and jobs. I'll move on to here, right? So that's some ideas about the economy. In terms of education, I was an SNP councillor for and everybody here are obviously thinking people. They flagged up as their main policy over the last few years, bridging the attainment gap. So the poor people educated would get better grades. They put support in and money, bridging the attainment gap. What did they just do in the last week? What did they just do? 125,000 kids who sat their exams had their board of SUA. We as a grassroots movement say to this government, sort this bloody mess. You have just destroyed your own flagship policy of bridging the attainment gap. It is shocking what is going on. At least give the pupils who sat their exam the grade they got in prelim. But if we all remember back to sitting hires, etc., you tended to get better because you studied more. So there should be a fractional point put in there to improve the bloody grades of people, not knock them down. That's people's lives affected. When they go to uni, what job they get. It's a bloody outrage. John Swinney, sort this for God's sake, man. Our universities are going to collapse. One or two of them probably going out of business. Do we do anything about that? So you see the 4 pillars I'm trying to explain here. Jobs, health, economy and food. And I've thrown another point. Kids in primary school deserve, if you start looking at some of the books they use, some of the educational books, our kids deserve to get the filth chucked out of their bloody curriculum. Where's it coming from? Just throw it out. Apply some Scottish common sense. I'll tell you what, since I'm mentioning common sense, if I had any influence in the Scottish government, I would love to recruit Dr. Malcolm Kendrick as the health minister, because he would just, have you ever seen how Malcolm deals with the peer-reviewed paper? That one's rubbish. He knows the ones where they're set up to suit big pharma. We have one of the most talented, brilliant doctors who mentions that he's a Scots doctor. I have asked him if he would come speak at the rally. He's probably wondering who we are. He's going to get back to it soon. I'm not a more straight-talking, brilliant, focused doctor that I have seen blogging on the internet. So let's please pray that Malcolm comes along and speaks the truth. When it comes to food, please be aware, people, that the power cabal will try and break us and divide us and rip us apart. And the basic thing they're going to do is possibly break the food supply chain. We might see stuff in our country.
They're doing it already, Paddy.
Yeah. And various people that just don't get enough money. So under food, let's use the old phrase, let food be thy medicine. There is no better phrase. Let food be thy medicine. And what we need in Scotland, if there's a breakdown of the supply chain, is that we become more resilient and we start to grow fruit and veg of our own. I've already put a motion in North Lanarkshire Council to boost that dramatically in the area where I have some influence. And that's on next Thursday. If you come from that area, please send an email to your Labour, SNP, Conservative councillors asking them to support that motion. So there are various things that we need to do in Scotland to help protect our people. That's one of them under food. Another campaign that I'm hoping, as some of the objectives, I'm just throwing out ideas here, is that we ask the Scottish Government to do a proper campaign and emphasise the need for healthy, essential micronutrients. Because so much of the food that we have is garbage. It's rubbish. Healthy micronutrients and minerals and vitamin C, zinc, all these things, they've been destroyed from the soil microbiome. We need healthier food for our people to eat. So it's objectives like these we need to discuss and then focus them tightly. We go there and we make certain demands and we sort them out. Another one I'll chuck in is end GMOs are super. They look like food, they're crap, there's nothing good in them. Usual corporate power determining what we eat. That's what it is. And the last one I put there was a campaign to get out of our food chain. Better consumer advice on what foods contain glyphosate, because it causes cancer.
Microphone.
Time to stop the poison that creates chronic illness that these corporate people create, and we end up paying for it as the end result through the NHS. They need to be reined back. Right, almost ending, folks. I hope you don't mind this. So basically, the summary in the food section is, in short, everything toxic, like sugar, which drives metabolic syndrome, and glyphosate, that benefits the short-term profits of the food corporation, damages our health, and the costs and the public money in the long term is paid by us. Okay. Through the 4 pillars of what I would suggest we put our slogans or titles or straplines in, we make them objectives. So these are the 4 pillars I suggest that we focus on as our main objective for the rally. Get the word out, spread the news, talk to everyone you know, encourage them to think about these issues. I will have leaflets ready in just over a week in all areas of Scotland. I don't care whether I burst my own bank or not, but we're going to get some support from people too. We are now have groups, I mentioned it earlier, Edinburgh, Falkirk, Perth, Dundee, Inverness, Aberdeen. We march in Holyrood as a national grassroots movement. Let's rally with a call that we, the people of Scotland, will rise up and demand that our politicians that we elected to represent us will listen to our case. We'll make them bloody listen. Because that is what we've got. Represent the vote. While democracy still exists, because I hear there's plans to actually smash stuff on Facebook and smash dissent. That's coming next. So we better move soon. So folks, we are saving Scotland. That's the banner strap, okay? And let's just say it does start here and it starts now and it starts with you. Bring 3 people here next time. Let's grow this national movement. Rise, Caledonia, rise!